So we finally know what's going to happen to the Boosted Board Company. Now, really quickly, if you're unfamiliar with the Boosted Board Company, the Boosted Board Company is a company that only makes electric vehicles, more specifically electric longboards and things like that, and that's all they're known for. And this year, they were pretty much in a bad state, and we really didn't know what was going to happen to the Boosted Board Company moving on into the near future. But now, fast forwarding to today, we finally know more information about the Boosted Board Company, and we finally know what's going to happen to this company officially. And let's talk about what's going to happen to the Boosted Board Company. It looks like this company is going to be bought out by another company, and the good news here is it's not just a random company that doesn't know about electric vehicles. The company that's actually going to be buying them out is actually a company called Lime. Lime is known for their pretty popular Lime scooters. You see Lime scooters practically everywhere, whether it's in America or other cities around the world. They are very popular. And if you live in a big city, of course, most likely you have seen a Lime scooter on a street corner, because like I said, they are extremely popular. So it is nice that Boosted Boards is in good care and in the right hands at least. And it looks like if Lime really wanted to continue on manufacturing Boosted Boards, they could continue on manufacturing Boosted Boards under the name Boosted Boards. Right now, it's still up in the air what they're going to do with the company Boosted Boards. Are they going to continue on making Boosted Boards under the name Boosted, or are they not really going to do anything with the assets? One thing that is very interesting about Boosted Boards, even though they are known for electric longboards for the most part, they did actually make an electric scooter a couple of years ago. So Lime has a lot of different things at their disposal when it comes to electric vehicle parts, whether it's electric longboards, or whether it's electric scooter parts. They do have a lot of parts right now when it comes to the Boosted Company. The very interesting thing about this whole buyout is the fact that apparently this buyout wasn't just a buyout that was sudden, that was like recently. Apparently this buyout was in the works since 2019, and that is very interesting because who knows the state of Boosted Boards. Maybe Boosted Boards has been in trouble for quite some time, so they wanted to be bought out as soon as possible, and they didn't really want to tell anybody about their buyout because they didn't want people to be scared, and they wanted people to buy their Boosted Boards. So they kind of shrugged this whole thing off and not really told anybody until now. Or maybe they were actually not in big trouble, and they just wanted to be bought out, or whatever the case may be. But overall, it is very interesting to see that Lime Scooters of any company is actually going to be buying out the Boosted Board Company. And there is a couple of things to note about the Boosted Board Company, which is very interesting and which may have actually hurt the company in the long run. And let's actually dive into that really quickly, since I know something about the Boosted Board Company. First of all, like I said before, a couple of years ago, Boosted did decide to manufacture their own electric scooter, and since they're not known to make electric scooters, that might have actually hurt them in the long run, because developing a whole brand new vehicle from the ground up, which they're not normally known to produce or manufacture, could have been a lot of development time, a lot of research and things like that spent. And on top of that, I don't know how many people who are invested in electric longboards were actually going to be invested in buying something like an electric scooter, especially from a company that's known to make electric longboards. So that could have hurt them in the long run, just because it would have been too much time, too much money, too much just everything building up to where it just hurt the company in the long run, and it really wasn't great for them. And maybe they shouldn't have manufactured an electric scooter, even though they kind of know what they're doing and they did have everything in place to make one of those. But since they had to make an extra line, most likely that might have hurt them in the long run. And then another thing I think that might have killed Boosted off, because there's really no way to know. It could have just been that a lot of people just weren't buying their vehicles, since their vehicles in the first place were always expensive, and a lot of people saw these electric skateboard type deals or these electric longboards to just be too expensive and kind of like a play toy, even though they can actually be a very useful vehicle. A lot of people just think they're just not worth the money since they're so expensive. But basically what was going on with the Boosted Board Company, when Boosted Board first made their Boosted Boards, they pretty much outsourced all their parts to other companies that knew about longboards and skateboards in the first place. Like for instance, a lot of their boards were actually manufactured by a company called Loaded, if you don't know anything about longboards, and that's how they actually made their decks. They got their decks from Loaded, and then on top of getting their decks from the Loaded company, which Loaded does make extremely premium longboards, if you didn't know, they also got their wheels from Loaded, the orangutan wheels, and since they got the decks and the wheels from Loaded, they really didn't have to worry about too much since they just bought the parts like that. But then later on in the lifespan of the boosted board manufacturing process, for some weird reason, Boosted was like, no, we don't want to outsource our parts to all these different companies, and we don't want to buy their boards and their wheels. We actually want to make a whole bunch of our own parts in-house. And then officially they started making a lot of their parts in-house, like the wheels. I'm not too sure about the deck, but I do know more and more parts started to become in-house from Boosted. And of course, Boosted is not really known to making their own parts. They usually just assemble a whole bunch of different parts from, like I said, a whole bunch of different skateboard companies and things like that. And that may have actually hurt them in the long run for a lot of different reasons. One, of course, a lot of people may have seen that as like a downgrade to their quality just because they're not getting their parts from companies that are that know about longboard parts and skateboard parts to begin with. And then of course maybe their quality wasn't as good as well when people actually tried them. So overall, that may have hurt them when they went to make all their in-house parts compared to when they outsourced all their boards and all their materials from other companies, which I can actually see being a big downside because it does hurt your reputation, especially when people find out that you're making your own stuff when you never really did make your own stuff to begin with, which is kind of a downside for a lot of people. Like, well, now I won't buy them from you because a lot of these parts I'm not too sure about. I'm kind of iffy about because your quality may go down the hill since, like I said, they weren't known to making parts in the first place. So a lot of those different things, like changing the way they build their electric skateboards and also building that electric scooter, could have hurt them in the long run. And it is actually extremely sad to see this company actually go pretty much be going out of business as of right now, just because this was actually a company that actually pretty much pioneered the electric longboard or the electric skateboard. I remember like 3, 4, 5 years ago when electric vehicles like electric longboards and skateboards started to become very popular. I remember a lot of people really getting invested in things like the Boosted company. The Boosted company obviously got very successful, if you didn't know, thanks to a guy on YouTube called Casey Neistat. Casey Neistat was actually one of those people that really heavily promoted boosted board products. He rode them almost all the time in a lot of different videos. He talked about them. He was pretty much one that pretty much endorsed the Boosted Board company, and everybody remembers the Boosted Board company as pretty much the kings or pioneers of electric longboards and electric skateboards. They'll always be known in our hearts as one of those companies that actually had quality products, and it's sad to see them go. And who knows what's actually going to happen to the Boosted Board company. The Boosted Board company, like I said again, could actually be continue on operation under the name Boosted Boards, even though Lime owns them, or they could do nothing with boosted boards. But either way, it is sad. And if you own a boosted board right now, it's still up in the air if you'll be able to get parts. You may have to get parts from like used boosted boards and things like that. You'll have to find people because it is sad that most likely you won't be able to get parts anymore for the boosted boards. Who knows about that? And it is just very sad. So there's that. Now let's actually move over to some gaming news, because we do have some gaming news on our hands, and all these games that I'm about to talk about are pretty much ports, and it's going to be a lot of Nintendo Switch news because that's pretty much what I'm known for. I like talking about the Nintendo Switch and things like that. And I know the Nintendo Switch is known for ports here, ports everywhere, ports. And I know a lot of people out there are tired of talking about ports because it does seem like the king of ports in the gaming industry is the Nintendo Switch. The Nintendo Switch gets so many ports, but for me, it's not a bad thing. If you don't like the port, just don't play it. And it's always nice to see more games on a platform. How can you disagree? The more the merrier, even if it's not a game that you necessarily like, and even if you don't agree with it, just don't play it, like I said. So let's talk about some of these ports that are coming to the Nintendo Switch. The first port that is coming to the Nintendo Switch is actually a game that's not too good, but it is, I guess, an okay game. The game I'm talking about is Jump Force, and Jump Force is a fighting game that came out last year, and I know this game is kind of mediocre. It's not the worst game out there, but it's also not the best game out there. It's really mediocre for what it is, but it is nice. I guess it is coming to the Nintendo Switch. You can't disagree. More games, the merrier, and I actually think it's a good thing, and it's very interesting that this game is coming to the Nintendo Switch. And the nice thing about this Jump Force game that's coming to the Switch is it is going to be the deluxe edition, so you will get any DLC that was previously for the Jump Force games and things like that. Honestly, looking at Jump Force, I don't think Jump Force is actually a game that's actually worth paying full price, in my opinion. I think it's a game where you should wait for a pretty good discount. I think once you pay for a discount for this game, that's when this game becomes more worth it. If you're a fan of anime games and things like that, you may want to check this game out, but the gameplay was kind of in this game, so I can't really recommend it to a lot of people unless you just like it for some odd reason, or maybe you just want a game that you can take on the go. Then maybe look into this game, but at full price or whatever the case may be, I just can't justify this game at whatever price they're going to put this thing at. I really do think this is a game that you're going to have to wait until the price drops on this, and then it's going to be a game you can like mess around with, just tinker with, and that's really going to be it for a Jump Force. So it is, I guess, okay that it's coming to the Nintendo Switch. And the next one is not a game that's strictly coming to the Nintendo Switch. It is a game we've already known for a little while, but we finally got a brand new release date for the upcoming SpongeBob game, SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom, and it is actually very interesting and very puzzling to me that the company decided to actually remake this game, because I don't think really anybody asked for SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom to actually be remade. To be honest, my brain was kind of wrapped around when I first heard about the news about the SpongeBob game being remade, because this is a licensed video game, and you do have to realize I don't think licensed video games a lot of people want remade, but maybe this was a good game and maybe people did ask for this to be remade. I'm not too sure about how this became to be, but it is very interesting either way, and we do have some an official release date for this game. The official release date for this game is going to be June 23rd of 2020. So it's coming out in about 2 months or 3 from now. And the nice thing about this game is it's going to be, as you can see right here from this video, it's going to be on every platform out there. Possible PC, Xbox, PlayStation, and the Nintendo Switch. So that's nice. You'll be able to get your Battle for Bikini Bottom on if you want to buy this game for yourself. I don't know what type of game this is. Is this a platformer or something? But yes, it is a 3D platformer, it looks like. And I'm actually happy that this game is getting remade, even though I know nothing about this game and this game's not for me. It's just good anytime I hear news of like another 2D platformer or another 3D platformer style game, just because I don't think we get enough of these games, and these games are kind of a dying breed in the gaming industry as a whole, especially more so the 3D platformers. 3D platformers are games that aren't made too often nowadays, and a lot of these 3D platformers have been hit or miss. You may remember Ukulele, you may remember, there's some other games out there, but definitely one that rings a bell is Ukulele was pretty like more so than good, and just didn't give me good vibes. So I am glad that there are more 3D platformers. Also, anytime I see a brand new 3D platformer come out, it gives me hope that more companies will see that there is still a reason to make 3D platformers, and there's still a market for them, because there is some gamers that still do want your traditional 3D platformers. It still sucks today that we really don't have a true like good successor to the Banjo-Kazooie games. Ukulele was pretty much that for a Banjo-Kazooie, and it does suck that we don't really have one now, but maybe this game will turn out to be a pretty good game. I don't know how this game fared when this game initially came out back on, I think, the PS2, GameCube, and Xbox days, I do believe. Again, I'm not really too familiar with this game, since honestly, anytime I see a game that's a licensed TV or movie game, I kind of stay away from it, because more times than not, these type of games do have a bad reputation of just using like a licensed TV or movie property and not being all too good, unfortunately. So Yeah, I wonder what this game is actually going to be when this game comes out. Is it going to be a full-fledged release where it's going to be full price, or is it going to be something else? Most likely, it's going to be full price for this game, but I'll be interested to see how this game fares when this game actually comes out. And then we have some other pretty exciting news for all you Nintendo Switch fans for a brand new game coming to the Nintendo Switch. And if you're talking about the recent news of a port called Crisis coming to the Nintendo Switch. I've already talked about it, so obviously it's not that game. And this is another port. Unfortunately, it's not technically a brand new game, since it is a port of a current gen game. But you should also you all should be pretty excited about this, especially if you are into shooters. And the game that I'm actually talking about right here is actually going to be World War Z. World War Z is actually coming to the Nintendo Switch. And anytime I see a shooter on the Switch, I personally get very excited, just because the Nintendo Switch or the Nintendo platforms in general were never really known for shooters. If you ever wanted to play shooters as a whole, you always played things like Xbox, PlayStation, PC. That's where shooters really did shine. You never really seen too many shooters on the Nintendo platforms and things like that. But it looks like World War Z is most likely officially coming to the Nintendo Switch. The reason I say that is because it looks like IGN specifically talked to the creators of World War Z, and it looks like they're already in development of making World War Z on the Nintendo Switch. The only thing that's kind of bad about this game is apparently it's taking a long time to actually make this game on the Nintendo Switch, the developer behind this game. So that's why we don't have an official announcement, and that's why we don't know when this game is actually going to be coming out, because it's still in production. You can see right here their statement says, "Getting this to run on the Switch is the hardest thing that we had to do. This is true even though we are porting our own Swarm engine over to the platform." So you can see this game doesn't run on anything like the Unreal Engine or any of the modern day engines. It's actually running on its own engine. Now, if you never played World War Z, World War Z is actually a clone of a very popular game called Left 4 Dead from Valve. Of course, I wouldn't say it's as good as Left 4 Dead, and there's nothing wrong with World War Z, to be honest. I've seen it in action. I never actually got a chance to play this game because a lot of people said if you like Left 4 Dead, it's just more Left 4 Dead, and honestly it left me in like an odd state. But maybe now, since it is confirmed to come to my platform of choice that I mostly play, the Nintendo Switch, I might actually check out World War Z, since if you didn't know anything, I was one of the biggest Left 4 Dead fans, period. I played Left 4 Dead 1, and I also played Left 4 Dead 2. I even had a poster of Left 4 Dead. I had some t-shirts of Left 4 Dead. I just thought Left 4 Dead was a flat out fantastic game. It's a game that doesn't take itself too seriously. It's just a game that's a very fun co-op game. The only thing different between World War Z and Left 4 Dead for sure is the fact that Left 4 Dead is a first-person shooter and World War Z is actually a third-person shooter. But besides that, it shares a lot of similarity. You're just pretty much going around in these different missions or campaigns shooting thousands of zombies. And the interesting thing about this game is they have different pickups you can pick up in the game. But more so, the thing that really copies Left 4 Dead is not just a swarm of zombies. They actually have different types of special infected that'll come out just like Left 4 Dead, that you have to do certain things to actually kill, and they have certain mechanics to those special infected on the map. But besides that, you're just trying to go from checkpoint to checkpoint until you reach the end of the actual game. And it's actually pretty cool that this game is coming to the Switch, because like I said again, I am a person that plays Left 4 Dead, and I am actually very curious to see how this game actually performs on the Nintendo Switch. And most likely this will be a game I actually buy on the Nintendo Switch. Will it be a day one? Probably not a day one for me, honestly, since it's just more of a Left 4 Dead. I'll probably wait until this game goes on sale or something like that to actually download this game. And I am actually a person that's been waiting for a game like Left 4 Dead 3 for so many years that I know Valve's not going to make a Left 4 Dead 3. I would literally be so happy if Valve did make a Left 4 Dead 3. I do know for a factor that World War Z actually was free on one of the clients. I think it might have been the Epic Game Store a couple of weeks ago, I do believe. And yeah, I did actually end up getting that. But I'm curious to see how this World War Z port is actually going to fare on the Nintendo Switch. And that pretty much wraps up today's video. Anyway, guys, this is Wayne from My Tech News, signing out.